Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I am your host, Don Martino, as always. And today is a very special day because we are going to give you guys our spoiler thoughts on Top Gun Maverick. We finally got to see this thing. I feel like it's been coming out since my 16th birthday, but hey, it finally did make it into the movie theater, so I am so stoked to get around to talking about this film. And before we get started, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit that bell for notifications. Also sitting here with me today is the one and the only, Mr. Jose Espinel. Jose, how's it going?
What's up, Dom? Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm glad to be here talking to you about Top Gun Maverick because we just saw this movie yesterday, and oh my goodness, this movie was incredible. I'm just super stoked and excited to get into this. Honestly,
yeah, honestly, me too.
It's long overdue. Honestly, we've been needing this movie.
Hey, answer me this: are you the one and the only Mr. Jose Espinel, though?
No, because my dad's also Jose Espinel.
Oh, you're a junior,
and his dad is also Jose Espinel. So yeah,
you're like a junior.
Yeah,
you're Mr. Jose Espinel Junior.
Except I'm technically the first Jose Gabriel Espinel because my dad and his dad have different middle names.
I see.
I'm the one Jose Gabriel Espinel.
Oh, interesting. So, all right. Well, fun facts for the audience there. Look, guys, we did get to see Top Gun Maverick, and as I said, this is going to be our spoiler discussion on the film, and I can't wait to get into all of it with everybody. So I'm going to actually start with Jose Espinel today. I want to know what Jose Espinel Jr. thought of Top Gun Maverick. So take it away, Jose. Overall thoughts.
Obviously, compared to the first one, there's a huge drastic change in technology and cinematography, just pure IMAX rawness in this film. I did enjoy it a lot more than the first one. I really enjoyed the soundtrack used in this film. I really enjoyed the whole soundtrack. The performances too. I mean, Miles Teller killed it. Obviously, Tom Cruise has always killed it. And everyone else in it too. All the other actors in this movie really also did kill it. It was just overall a very, very emotional, very fun, comedic. It just had all different kinds of emotions in it, and I really enjoyed that about this movie. And the parts that hit, they hit. The parts that made you laugh, And yeah, it was. I just had a really, really nice time with this movie, and I can't wait to go see it again. Honestly, it's great.
Yeah, that's I think a really great opinion as I moved my mic and made it sound like Archie Bunker's chair because I dropped something during that. But honestly, man, I couldn't agree with a lot of your points more. I think that yes, on one end, the technology has moved ahead a lot quicker. Also, these movies do have bigger budgets nowadays, which I think just adds so much to it. And I think that has a lot to do with why we were actually able to see the actors actually go up in the air on these jets, which it just added so much to the film and the experience.
The fact that they were actually flying these jets in some of these scenes was just incredible, man. It just made the experience that much better, and especially to watch in IMAX, when the engine started and the jet started going and all those noises that the jets made. Yeah, it was just some great stuff to watch in IMAX, honestly.
Yeah. It's one of the things I'm not sure a lot of film enthusiasts or a lot of people that are not film enthusiasts like you and I are going to really realize is there's one or two times that they use CGI to touch up a couple things for sure, but CGI really has nothing to do with why the visuals are as great as they are. It's honestly because
they can if the CGI is used right, they can even make certain scenes like even better.
Sure, absolutely, but if they wanted to, but it's really because it came down to the practicality of the effects. I mean, the fact that they're actually flying these things this time around. The exterior shots are so gorgeous of the jets. I mean, because you got one or two times where they use the trick of the exterior shot, meaning where they show the jets doing this crazy ass shit. That might not necessarily be the actors from time to time when they're just showing the jets from outside themselves. But as far as the cockpit shots go, those are actually actors doing that. And Tom Cruise, let me tell you, committed himself, I thought, to this one.
That's honestly the amount of training that they must have all gone through to be able to actually fly jets must have been long, but at the same time very fun to be able to film this movie. You know, I could just imagine that they just had one hell of a time training to fly actual fighter jets from the Navy.
Yeah. But one of the things about this as well is while we have all that spectacle of the actors actually being up in these jets and this incredible action that's actually thrown into this movie, none of it works without the story that was delivered. And the
Oh,
story
100%, yeah.
is what really holds the movie together at the end of the day.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we are not connected to the action along with the story, then the action means nothing. The story
True,
is what
yeah.
makes the action mean something, especially in this installment of the franchise, because you look at the first film, it's one of my biggest complaints. When they're on the missions, they feel very detached from everything else because there's really not a lot of things being
Right.
set up within the missions themselves. You know, I think
Whereas this one, yeah, whereas this one, the mission really did just come down really too as well, like telling it was like part of the story, as in like the story really did affect and influence what ended up happening on the mission.
yes, exactly. Like the story itself, you'll agree, is very important, or I'm sorry, the mission itself is very important and integral to the relationship between Rooster and
Sure,
Maverick.
in Maverick, of course, especially because of the obviously the fact that he is Goose's son,
Yeah,
and
right.
he tried to be a father to Rooster, um,
Uh-huh.
and obviously Rooster doesn't really see why Maverick's doing what he did to Rooster.
Yeah, as opposed to when you're looking at the original, the Goose and Maverick relationship is already kind of established. So there's not really like a lot that the missions are driving in that story, other than the fact
Right.
that Goose dies in one of them, which added some stakes to the original without a doubt. But the stakes in this movie feel very dangerous, and because they did such a good job making you really love and care about these characters, new cast, old cast, whatever,
Right.
it just really plays incredibly well in the stakes. And I think that's what struck me as awesome this time around. And from the very beginning, they took almost a really big advantage of just explaining the mission right off the bat. There's a core that's a weakness in the middle of the Death Star. I'm like, great, you're speaking my language now. See, because that's basically what it reminded me of, was that with the way that it was all
Honestly saying,
described.
yeah, like, yeah, I was gonna say the way that they described how they were gonna do the mission, how they were gonna have these 4 jets, and then the first two were gonna go in and they were gonna drop the missile, and the other two would come and drop the next one to just blow it up. It did remind me of A New Hope's mission for the exploding the first Death Star, or second one, I guess.
The first one, it was what
the
reminded
first
me
one,
of
yeah,
that,
first,
because
yeah,
it was just like,
yeah.
we found a weakness in the core of the thing, and you got to go in there, you got to shoot a missile in there and blow it up. That was the mission, and I'm like, great, it's simple, but you're speaking my language
And the
now.
fact, oh my god, and the fact that Rooster did it on instinct, and he did it, that was what
That's
really
what I
got
mean.
me.
Yeah,
that's what, because it reminds you of like Luke. He did it off just instinct with the Force. Same thing here with Rooster. He just did it off instinct and ended up nailing it. Yeah, I just really loved that.
Especially like Tom Cruise telling him not to think. I'm thinking about Qui-Gon
And just
Jinn.
do, yeah.
And
Don't think,
Qui-Gon
just do.
Jinn
Yeah.
was like, when he tells Anakin before the pod race, feel, don't think.
Yeah,
It's
it's
the
like,
same
don't think, just do.
concept.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Exactly, yeah.
inspiration being thrown over there, and I don't mind it. I love it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I
Yeah.
think that it's. I felt the Star Wars influence all over this thing for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I also think that the fact that we're getting a movie, this little movie from 1986, is getting a sequel like this
36 years later.
well, that not only a sequel, but a sequel that's getting that treatment that we would give a Marvel movie or Star Wars film, is really incredible to see that it's getting that treatment now. And because you can make there's a lot of sequels. Like, you look at that last Die Hard movie, it didn't get any kind of like treatment like this, of this quality and of this commitment, and this movie's just directed so beautifully. And
it also just shows the commitment, the commitment that Tom Cruise has to this movie, and how he really did want to do a sequel, and he wanted to do a sequel that would really do justice, and he totally delivered on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just gonna really want to hear like the highlights of this movie for us, and things that we love.
I mean, yeah, there's a nice bit of highlight. There's a nice bit of highlights from this movie.
And I think right from the get go, what really gets you is
is that the Mach 10? Yeah, that was,
which is it's a great mission, and again, it does play into this incredible action that we're getting in this movie. But
it also just goes to show how on the edge Mav likes to live his life.
It's reintroducing us to Maverick, and it's also introducing a new generation of people to Maverick, which I think
Right.
is a really great way to start this movie out. But it's
And
something new that we hadn't seen before too.
and then yeah, him trying to, him going from being a fighter pilot and trying to be a teacher, teaching other people how to do what it is that he did back in his time.
Yeah.
Thought that was really cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so when he's flying that Mach 10, though, I'm sitting there. The one shot I was just definitely in awe of is when you see the dial going up, and the you saw the rumble from inside the cockpit, like the rumble
Yeah.
that was shown on the screen that really in IMAX covers the entirety of the screen. And
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
rumbles. It's just so cool that they actually stuck the camera
Really,
in there with that.
and I also did like seeing the parts where like he was, flying at almost Mach 10, and you could just see like the rest of the world compared to the size of his jet going at that speed, where
Yeah.
it seems fast when you're in the jet, but then you zoom out and he's actually going pretty slow.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that too. That was
Yeah.
really cool. And seeing that in IMAX was really sick.
Yeah, it's like Kaczynski. There was no limit to where he would put a camera in this movie.
Exactly.
And I love that. He put a camera on the wings. He put a camera in the cockpit. He put a camera. He put maybe a couple cameras in the cockpit. Honestly, when you think about it a little bit more,
Yeah.
which I just absolutely adored and was just blown away by. So it was a good way for us to get reintroduced to Maverick, but then he's getting kind of called into, like you were saying, instructed almost like a new generation of these fighter pilots. And
of course, it was none other than Iceman himself that called him in.
right. And this sort of hesitancy that's among him to do this reluctancy, and we don't really get why, because at the end of the first Top Gun, he wanted to jump on the instructor job, and he said the one line where he said, "I did that, lasted for 2 months and didn't go very well." So you're like, oh, that's cool. But they put a new spin. I thought that this was just going to be him still being an instructor, but no, there's actually a little bit of time jump and backstory between the two sort of phases of Maverick's life that we get to see on the screen. There's actually a whole separate phase that we kind of missed. I don't mean that in a bad way, but they did a very good job just with one little line, just throwing in so much backstory, and we could be like, oh yeah, because the last time we saw Maverick, I could see why that wouldn't have went well for him. So you understand that immediately, which I think is just so, again, this movie just constantly tries to inform this character, or inform the audience more or less about where this character's at in his life. And he's actually in a very different phase now. While he's still Maverick, like the way he approaches flying and all that, that's Maverick. But he's also got this reluctancy to him, which I thought played incredibly nicely.
And of course, yeah, there has also been a 30-year time jump between when he, lost Goose to now.
Exactly.
And the fact that this dude is still just captain is I mean, he's just sticking to what he knows and loves doing.
And you wonder, the movie keeps you in the dark for a long time, where this big reluctancy of his really comes from. And I think it's really, it all kind of comes down to the relationship between Rooster and himself, which is more backstory that we're filled in on throughout the movie, but in a really great way, because we get little by little and it's paced out really nicely. It's kind of, we got a little bit of a mystery there that's trying to be unpacked throughout the entirety of the movie. The first thing we hear from Rooster, which actually, let's talk about Rooster for a second, because Miles Teller, his performance was incredible. The second he gets out of his vehicle, walks into that bar, that's Goose's son. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, it's literally just like looking at Goose again back in the first Top Gun. Like the resemblance is just so perfect. Like you couldn't have had anyone play Rooster better, honestly.
Yeah. Now my question for you is this, because, well, the first thing that happens is they have the bar rules, and he gets thrown out of the bar by these fighter pilots that really have no idea who the hell he is.
Yeah, because he can't pay, so that he had to get thrown out of the bar.
Exactly. So these fighter pilots have no idea who he is, and Miles Teller is singing "Great Balls of Fire" on the piano in the bar, and you hear it just very faintly. Like sometimes they'll give you a scene inside the bar when he's doing it. For the most part, you see the perspective in which Maverick is hearing this, which I thought was cool, because it was just kind of in the distance and out there for him, seeing as how he was thrown out of the bar. So my question for you was, do you think that because the movie clearly the movie clearly gives you enough precedence to be able to say him hearing that song was a big turning point for him and convincing him to go back into this lifestyle. Do you think that's him just being reminded of the past and wanting to chase that a little bit more? Or what do you think it was that really got Maverick to turn? What do you think it was about the song Great Balls of Fire that got Maverick to turn back? And I lost Jose. For me, I'll say this while we're trying to get Jose back in here. I think it was honestly, personally, I think it was.
Hey, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I was saying
My internet's just being a bitch right now,
well,
so I had to just change it.
I would say for the folks. So my answer to the question I was asking you, which is why Maverick turned back when he heard Great Balls of Fire.
Well, I mean, I think in part is because it reminded him of when him and Goose sang it at that diner, um, when he was with Goose's wife and his kid, which obviously we know now was Rooster. I think that's why, that's one of the reasons why he turned back, and he just remembered back to that time when him and Goose used to sing it together, and seeing Rooster do that kind of just brought him back to that time.
Well, yeah, I think he was chasing a little bit of the past again. I think that's what he was trying to do initially.
Yeah. Of course.
Because I think there's a part of him that's like, I lost a little bit of that past self, but he also had really good reason to start to lose that a little bit because he was trying, like we said, to be a bit of a father figure to Rooster. We learned that it's kind of what that's kind of what brought him to this new phase of his life, is trying to be a father figure to Rooster and Looster the Malooster. Trying to be a father figure to Looster and also trying to just not want to go in there and train him, because that was his whole MO, is I'm not going to be an instructor as long as he is a part of this. And you know that. He told that to John Hamm's character in this. You know exactly why I can't do this. And he's the reason why. That's why there was so much reluctancy. So to me,
I mean, yeah, that's why he also pulled his papers when he was trying to apply to the
Thank
Navy.
you. That was going to be my next point. So there is all this reluctancy, but just hearing him play that song was what made him go.
Yeah, and honestly, that performance from Miles Teller was great.
It's
by
awesome.
The way. He can really perform, man.
Yeah. So I agree, man. And for me, it added so much to that with him being Goose's son and all that. It added so much.
The way he just dresses and acts and stuff just reminds me of Goose, with the shades and the open shirt and just his swagger. Yeah, it just reminds me of Goose.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant too.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
He's honestly incredibly talented, and like I hope that a lot of people realize that about Miles Teller after watching this. The other person I really liked that got introduced right around here was Glenn Powell's character, which please remind me of his call sign. He's kind of our new Iceman.
Hangman.
Hangman now, yeah, okay, so that's
I was literally watching this movie. He reminded, like, the stuff that he, like, throughout this movie, he did remind me of Iceman. He was like he's the younger version of Iceman, basically. He's like Rooster and Hangman is like our Goose and Iceman, really.
Yeah, and Hangman is great as a character.
He played a villain pretty well.
Honestly. Glenn Powell was awesome, and I'm not familiar with his work in the past.
Neither.
But he
looked familiar when I saw him on the screen. I just couldn't remember like what he was in previously.
I'm definitely a fan now. So
100%.
Very interested to see his future work after this movie. But you're right. He definitely played a villain to a T, or at least the.
Oh, okay. He was in Hidden Figures.
Was he? Okay, I don't remember him in the movie because I've seen the movie and I like the movie a lot. I just don't remember him personally. But he was
actor. He was in Ride Along 2 as well.
Really? I haven't. I saw that movie once and never watched it again. But that was he was one of my favorite parts of this, and he brought a really cool aspect to it. Which actually, speaking of those two, Glenn Powell and Miles Teller, one of the most tense scenes was when Maverick is trying to instruct them, and Glenn Powell is kind of bringing up the dark past of everything, because he's learning and figuring more out about Rooster. So Hangman is
when he sees the picture of of Goose and Maverick, and then he's
Yeah.
like, and they see that his last name is the same as Rooster's. Yeah, that whole thing, and then the scene where it was Maverick, he was instructing them, right? Oh yeah, it was the practice of going through the canyon.
Well, they did that
very
first. You're right,
low.
because that was the first thing that happened, because he did the push up challenge where he was like, "You got to do
That
push
which
ups."
yeah, which I can tell now here on the channel. That's the sneak peek that I got when I went to go watch
Yeah.
Doctor Strange. That the sneak peek started with Maverick saying, you know, the introduction. He said, "Good afternoon, everyone. This is your training, or whatever." And that, from then until I think my sneak peek ended at the last set of push-ups. It just stopped
Okay.
like right there.
Yeah.
So that's like the sneak peek. That's the sneak peek that I got. Which seeing that just really got me excited for this movie. When I saw that whole scene, I was like, I was just remembering to when I was in Doctor Strange, and saw that sneak peek. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Poor Bob got
that was all
sidelined
really.
in this movie, by the way, because he did. He like when he
But
first.
just, I thought he was actually really funny in this.
Oh, I
movie.
liked him.
thought
That
he
was my. That's
yeah.
probably why it's an issue for me that he got a little underdeveloped, because I really did like him, especially in the beginning when he said, "I'm Bob," and they asked him what his call sign was. He's like, "Bob."
Yeah, because he was like,
that was so
like,
good.
No. So what's your call sign is? Bob.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. And I was like, that's a really cool character. And then they kind of sideline him for majority of this. He gets him and the
Phoenix.
chick, Phoenix. Him and Phoenix are great characters that I
Oh,
just thought
have,
got a little underdeveloped. You know,
and they have great chemistry too. Them two together.
They do.
As you know, pilot and wingman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I loved watching them every time they were on screen. I could use more of them, because they were honestly that damn entertaining, and they had that much. The cast had such good charisma and great chemistry together that I wanted more of it. You know, that was kind of where I was at with it. I want more. Give me more of that, which is kind of why I hope they do Top Gun 3, which we'll get into a little bit here. But I think that mission, when that was going on, that training exercise, I'm sorry to restate it, I think that is the moment I realized I was like, this movie is so much fucking fun. I'm having a blast with this film, and I really love that scene. And then moving from that, where they find out more about Rooster and they dig up the past, like I said, that scene where they go at each other, Rooster and Hangman, and when Tom Cruise
Hangman's really the one pushing the buttons on Rooster, and he finally pushes it to the point where Rooster tries to just get on his ass.
That was such a well acted scene. Like, it was really well done.
From Tom Cruise, from Miles Teller, and from Glenn Powell. Honestly, that was great.
A really intense scene. It was like kind of our first glimpse of real intensity in this movie.
I was gonna say very heated.
Yeah, very heated, intense scene. And we were like, this is not going to end well. And when it blew up, it was just like, wow, that was explosive. So I love that scene a lot. But we also have these conversations with Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly's Penny in this movie, who is the new love interest, which I will say this, that there's one thing that this movie did not benefit on from the first one. I did like Jennifer Connelly in the movie, and I thought the relationship was good. I just didn't think it was as strong as him and Kelly McGillis in the first.
Well, yeah,
that would be the one thing.
And I feel like that was maybe done on purpose, given probably most likely the backstory that we didn't really get obviously to see much of. We only got the little bits that they talked about, like, oh, let's not do this again. We know how it ends. I mean, we didn't get to see really much of their backstory and how this relationship first started and what actually happened in it. So that's probably why we got this kind of relationship, because of, you know, given their past, she didn't want to, you know, really get into it again.
That's a fair assessment of it, I think. Yeah, I would say that. It's just with everything that was benefited upon the first movie, you know.
Yeah, but I think I really enjoyed the way that the relationship progressed in this movie. I think I really did. I liked seeing something different from
I didn't mind it.
I think it was cool to do something different from the original. Not obviously go point by point exactly from the original. I liked how they kind of went different with this relationship and kind of grew it over time. And then in the end, obviously, you know, it worked out.
The scenes themselves didn't bother me all that much, and honestly, I didn't mind watching them together. I agree with exactly what you're saying, but I would agree with it even more if they didn't end up together in the end. Do you know what I mean? Because this ended up pretty much being the one he ends up with at the very end of everything. So I would agree with your points a lot more in that sense. There's a lot of your point I do agree with, because you're right. In the beginning, there is a hesitancy on her part. So I do agree with you in a lot of ways in that sense. But then I think that just the strength of the relationship itself, not that I minded them together again, it's just a small nitpick in the sense that they did end up together. So maybe we could have gotten more scenes of strength between the two as well, which they just didn't do. But that's okay. Again, that's least of my worries in this movie is how that relationship was, because everything else is just firing on all cylinders in this movie, without a doubt. So again, least of my worries. I love the scene too, though, where, and I think you and I both said in our theater, it was the biggest laugh is him jumping out of the window.
Oh my gosh. And then his daughter sees him. That part was so funny. But then the line she said next was like, just please don't break her heart again.
The movie did a good job at manipulating our feelings. This movie, that's one thing else.
One second we were laughing in that scene, and the next we stopped laughing. We're like, oh shit, she really just said that. Like, damn.
It had real control over that. I felt like it did everything that it did in terms of how the movie was.
I guess the only nitpick that I'd say about my theater, and it's not obviously the movie's fault, it's the other people that are in it, like the scenes because there was a nice bit of scenes that made me and my theater laugh. I guess the only problem is that we would start laughing, but then they would start talking again, and so we'd have to like stop laughing immediately.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'd maybe miss a line or two, we would and so like I guess that was just one part that I just didn't really like about my theater, but like, that's just the theater, you know.
True. I thought the movie had a real control,
100%,
of the feelings it was trying to emit, and I think that's one of the most successful pieces of the movie is Joseph Kosinski as a director just really manipulated our feelings where he needed them to be.
Of course,
at each moment as the audience member. That was my experience anyway. It might not be everybody's.
Yeah. No, of course, I agree with that.
But first of all, can we talk about the opening too? Because when they opened with
when they were with the same song from Top Gun,
it was really the same opening. They've really kind of got their own opening crawl going on with this, you know. So if they made a third movie, I would expect to see that again too.
The same thing again, just with a different name title, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah. I wanted to go back to that really quick because that just got me so jacked when it started up. I was
honestly, when I heard that song start playing, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It had like me and the entire theater were just clapping when they started playing that song.
Yeah.
Like, we were all just cheering and clapping because we're like, oh yeah, here we go.
It was a great moment. Oh yeah, you just knew you were back in Top Gun, and they did a good job at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Back to kind of where we were in this discussion, though. Oh, he pulled the papers, and I think I muted there for a second. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, sorry about that. So we started to get these little nuggets of the mystery that's going on, where he pulled the papers, and we're trying to figure all that out and set him back like 4 years in his training, which is crazy. And as an audience member, I'm thinking, Maverick, why would you do that? And then
I was thinking the same thing, honestly.
Yeah, and then it wasn't really until I don't think he goes to finally see Iceman that we get it, right? Like we really
it was because he wanted to,
I think then
he wanted to protect him and not have happen to him what happened to Goose.
So
which oh my god, man, that scene was hella emotional, man. Like
yes,
even though like Iceman didn't really get to talk in this movie, just his raw emotions in his face and even just typing out the words, like you could like feel what he was like, how he was trying to portray those sentences out, you know. I could really just feel it in the expression in his face, which really is a testament to him, the fact that he can really just get with our emotions just from his facial expressions.
Due to real world implications, obviously he was very limited in the role that he was able to do, but I think that this movie could have put Val Kilmer in there and we would have been just excited about that. But the way 100%. That they wrote it was perfect. The way that they wrote was perfect. The way they wrote around his real life situation was brilliant and perfect. And so now we're just like, it was a heavy scene. It included a great performance from Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer in that scene. That was
And honestly,
real acting right there.
made me hella emotional. Honestly,
Me
that
too.
scene was just
It was
it
heavy.
just it hit me, man. It was great.
It was heavy, and when he stood up and finally
Oh,
said what he
and
said,
then yeah, and then started talking. I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
yeah, that was amazing.
Dude.
And the fact that again, it actually, I might choke up talking about it here really quick because it's just like the practicality of seeing Tom Cruise or Miles Teller, whoever, actually up in the planes. That for Val Kilmer to say any lines is a lot for him to do, but he committed himself to do that.
Right.
And so in his situation. So yeah, it was hella emotional. Like you said, it was very heavy, very heartwarming. Honestly, and they wrote that perfectly. And the fact that Val Kilmer committed enough, like Val Kilmer came on and said, I know I'm dealing with shit, but this is Top Gun. I'm only going to get this opportunity once. I'm going to say some lines.
Exactly.
And so, because he didn't have to.
Yeah, honestly, he didn't have to, but he was like, oh, I'm going to do it because this is Top Gun and this is, I mean, shoot, he was in the first one and he did so well in the first one. He's like, well, he wants me back. He wants me back. I'm going to be in it and I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was great.
So good. And it really warms my heart to see the
honestly,
way
one of my favorite scenes from the movie, honestly.
Yeah.
It was great.
I agree, man. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say here is this movie really doesn't work without the story because the movie's already good before we get into this really intense stuff that happens. It's already a great movie just based on story alone. You don't need a lot of these highfalutin missions, but then they commit to those too, and you're like, and they connect with the story honestly, so well, and you're like, wow. Yeah.
And Tom Cruise is one of those guys that really doesn't show emotion. His face is just always just
not typically, really, not the way he did here. Yeah.
But I was going to say specifically in this movie, you could really see the emotions. He was like, especially in that scene with Val Kilmer, you could see like he started like tearing up. And you could tell, man, that he was really feeling it, man. Like, man, this movie is just one of those exceptions where you can actually just tell the emotions that he's trying to portray.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets nominated for this movie, honestly, because
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, he really did come back and play Maverick in a new phase of his life, but also just committed and was able to come in so naturally to do it as well.
Exactly.
Amazing stuff. And it's really not long after that Iceman's death comes about, to be honest with you.
Which, man, was hella emotional, man. That almost had me tearing up there, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. So the first time, though, that we really see Tom Cruise commit to this flying thing, though, this actual flying. Well, first, let's talk about, too, because I thought this was one of the best parts of Miles Teller's performance is when he finally confronted Tom Cruise and asked him, like, why'd
you pull my papers? Yeah.
And that Miles Teller did so well. And that was real emotions, man. Like that felt very real and grounded. And I know Miles Teller is talented, man. I really have. And I'm glad that we get to see that talent portrayed in a mainstream movie because he could honestly been in here and just been the comic relief, but they gave him real acting to do. And so that made me very happy because I've known this guy's been talented because I've seen him in smaller pictures, so I know what he's capable of.
Yeah, like that one movie you showed me with Brie Larson, I think.
Spectacular Now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man, his performance in that was
unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like I could see his emotions from that movie and this one. We almost like kind of remind me that his performances in both of these two were just insane and incredible, man. He's just so talented.
Yeah, the last time mainstream audiences really saw him was Footloose. Not that he's bad in Footloose. It's just. This is different.
When did that come out?
It was 2014, maybe. I want to say that remake of Footloose.
Okay, I was gonna say because I mean there was those Divergent movies, the trilogy. He was in those.
Fun fact about Miles Teller, really quick, being in this movie because I feel like I've been wanting to bring this up in all the videos. So there are two iconic 80s songs that Kenny Loggins did. One of them was Danger Zone from Top Gun, and the other one was Footloose. And Miles Teller was in the reboot for both. So I just thought that was a cool little fun fact. Yeah. So yeah, the guy
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty awesome for him. And yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like Footloose made me really love Miles Teller. It was like I want to see that guy and everything else that's coming up. But he didn't really do real acting till he started getting to some smaller movies. And when ever since, I'm gonna go on a quick diatribe about Miles Teller really quick, because when Spectacular Now came out, dude, I was like, he's next level. Like he really is.
When you showed me that movie and I watched it, I was like, okay, yeah, this dude, because I'm not gonna lie, I think the last time besides Spectacular Now, the last time that I'd seen him in anything was the Divergent trilogy movies.
True, he was in those. Yeah, that's true.
And he was all right in those. I mean, he did play a villain, and I feel like he didn't get too much screen time in those movies. And so I was like, okay, I mean, I need to see more of this guy to actually see like how. And then you show me Spectacular Now, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, this dude is so talented.
He's been destroying in the indie world for a while now, and a lot of people just really don't realize how great he actually is. And he was in what was then I saw like Whiplash and Bleed for This, and those two movies, which you got to watch, man. Those are two amazing movies.
Wasn't he in a movie with Jonah Hill? Is it War Dogs? Is that the name of it?
That one was really good, but again,
yeah,
even the ones that like had bigger budgets were not like big blockbusters. Like War Dogs had a bigger budget, sure, and then you also had the one after that, Joseph Kosinski's last movie, Only the Brave. Two great movies that he did where he gave great performances, but not a lot of people saw, even though they had budgets. So it really, like, the last thing I could think of was like Footloose that made any kind of money that people
Speaking of Only the Brave, a little rant here, but my class yesterday, because we had to, like, our teacher wanted us to go around and say like what our favorite movie is. And someone gave their top 3, and I think one of the people, their top 3, Only the Brave was in it.
Oh wow, it's a really good movie.
Yeah,
it's not Top Gun, but it's really good. Like, it's not Top Gun Maverick, but it's a really good. Like, that was the first time I saw, because I'd seen Oblivion and I thought it was good. That was the one.
Oblivion, with Tom Cruise, the one that had Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I really actually did enjoy that movie a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
That was the first time I saw Joseph Kosinski's work as a director, and then I saw Only the Brave, and I was like, oh damn, because Only the Brave is really great. It's a lot better than Oblivion, and then Top Gun Maverick is like the best.
It's the best. He's 100%.
Yeah. So I never thought he was a bad director, but not at this. I'd never seen him work at this level, and
you know what it is. He had help from one of the best, if not the best actor in the world right now.
A lot of creative input, I would imagine.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he did the first Top Gun. I could imagine that a lot of what Tom Cruise envisioned in a sequel was really put into this by Joseph Kosinski as well,
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. I think that they probably had a good time on Oblivion, and Joseph was like, I'm a big Top Gun fan. I would like to tackle that. And Tom Cruise was probably like, well, we'll talk about that. And they probably, I'm sure once Tom Cruise heard his pitch, he was like, that's great, but let's do this and this. And they probably just worked together really well and were able to bounce notes off each other really well. And
of
come up with a great product at the end of the day, like this ended up being.
36 years in the making.
So the first time in this, though, that you really see, to me, like, I was like, this is commitment. The 2.5 minute scene.
Oh my god, the 2 minutes 15 second.
2 minutes 15 seconds. Yes, thank you.
When he was kicked off and he went to Penny and she's like, well, what are you gonna do about it? You have to do something. And then next thing you just hear Tom Cruise coming in talking in this jet, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna do this 2 minutes 15
after Iceman's funeral. Also, let's
of course. And then and they're like, no, you guys are gonna do this in 4 minutes. You guys are gonna be a lot higher and all this other stuff. And then Tom Cruise just comes in and just completely annihilates this thing in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I'm like, holy shit.
Granted, he might not actually done in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, but the stuff they got from the perspective of the cockpit facing him.
Oh yeah, the camera, 100%.
He's doing some crazy shit in that thing, man. Like, he was
100%.
The turns and
he's turning and then, bro, he goes up and twists and goes down, then double missiles and gets it, and then goes straight up. And then back to, oh my gosh, man, that was some great. Honestly, that scene really just got me. When I just heard his voice and then he says, I'm gonna do it in 2 minutes 15, I was like, okay, yeah, this is about to be a insane scene.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, was it crazy?
Because that was the first time we really saw him do like anything and really insane from the perspective.
And you know what I was really thinking about watching that scene too was the fact it goes back to that scene where Hangman was really busting Rooster's balls. And Hangman was like, we're about to go on a mission that none of us have done, not even Maverick himself. And then he just goes and does it in 2 minutes 15. I'm like, well, you know what, Hangman, you've just been proven wrong.
Exactly.
I was literally thinking that in my head the whole time watching that scene.
Exactly. And when I was thinking about the same thing. And when I saw that, I was like, this movie was already good, but it just got a whole lot better.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
I was kind of when that scene happened, I was like, holy shit, that was real commitment. And
then he was made team leader, and man,
well, that was a really compelling scene, is when he was like, well, I have a choice now.
I either ruin my career, or I either take a chance in my career, or what was it? I can't. It was he was like,
well, he's like, I could get rid of you and keep my job, I think, is one of the options.
Yeah, or I can risk my career.
And then Tom Cruise started to chime in, and he's like, I think that was a rhetorical question, sir. He started to answer the question.
Yeah, the African American guy next to him, I forget his name. He came
that was
in.
So
like,
funny.
Yeah, I think that was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, that was a funny moment.
Yeah, that was funny.
So going from there, though, now we're starting to get into the nitty gritty. The mission's about to start, and again, because they brilliantly.
Then they're in the meeting, and they're like, okay, well, you guys actually have a week to train to do this. I was
That's right.
Oh fuck, here we go. It's about to get intense.
Yeah. Well, what they brilliantly did, by the time we're getting into that mission again, is they brilliantly set this up very well in the beginning. And you knew when they said there were going to be F-14s there, that somehow one of these things were going to get flown by Tom Cruise. Like, I knew that from the very beginning of the movie. Somehow one of those F-14s is going to be 100% by Tom Cruise.
And another scene that I really liked, I can't remember if it was in this practice scene, the second one, where like Rooster was being hesitant, and like, oh no, that was in the mission, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the mission starts up. First of all, let's start here, because the mission starts up, and I'm sitting next to this like 13-year-old girl who's probably never even seen the original Top Gun, unless her parents showed it to her like the day before or something. She was tense from the moment the mission started, and spoiler alert, until they landed. Like, that's how like tense she was, and I was feeling the same emotions, so I knew, But
yeah,
when
he picked his two groups with Phoenix and Bob, and then what were the other two? Fanboy and...
Well, this is the crazy part, because he was picking his team. It was Phoenix, Bob. Was it Fanboy? I think you're right. And
it was, then Fanboy and the other, I can't remember for the life of me the other call name.
Pretty much all the characters that got any type of screen time except for Hangman. And then
he chose Rooster as his
wingman. Which I was like, oh shit, and you thought,
bro, when I saw Hangman's face when he didn't get chosen, I was like, aha, you smug.
Absolutely. So Rooster gets chosen, and we're going on this mission, and the movie just suddenly is kind of swelled with this sort of dark intensity to it. Like, the second they go on the mission, a lot of it's just the environment it's just very cloudy all of a sudden. I thought that was just really...
when they shoot the missiles to hit the base, that scene was sick too. When it finally just hit the strip, that was great.
Well, the mission itself,
I was gonna say, the mission itself was, you start the mission and they're flying there. That was some really cool stuff.
Again, took me back to the Battle of Yavin and New Hope, though, because of the silence behind it and just those shots, and
you had the SAMs that were just waiting there for someone to get spotted so they can shoot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was, and then obviously you have Rooster hesitating. He's kind of staying back, really freaking out, and then wasn't it Maverick was like, please, Goose, please talk to me, please say something, and then Rooster says the same thing.
Well, that
was sick.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that was sick. I really enjoyed that.
Well, Maverick said it in the beginning, which I forgot to mention because it was so emotional when he said it in the beginning when he was doing the Mach 10. In the beginning, he said that. He said, Goose, talk to me. And this time around, Rooster said, Dad, talk to me. And then that's when Maverick said, don't think. When Maverick said, don't think, just do. And
that was crazy.
And so this mission just keeps getting more and more intense. Like, you really feel the stakes. You really feel the danger. And I never thought I'd feel stakes like this in this movie. I'll be honest with you. And it really just put
my heart was honestly beating the whole time. Because the whole mission, my heart was just beating fast.
It's so well done, this action in this movie. It's so well done.
and the actors too, all the props to all of them because they played it
They
so
help
well
it,
too.
yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Their performances just really just make
You
this
feel
better.
it, you believe it throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, honestly, you feel like they're on an actual mission, really risking their lives here on this mission.
Yeah, I was like, holy cow, this is nuts. And you know, finally, well, Rooster hits it with his, like you were saying, on instinct. He
Oh
finally,
yeah, I was gonna say because Phoenix and Bob and Maverick go first, and they hit it obviously because they have the lock, and then Rooster and Hangman or not Hangman, Fanboy and
Hangman's
whoever
back at
his
the base. They showed that multiple times. The movie went out of its way to show poor Hangman hanging out.
yeah, but yeah, and then you have Rooster and Fanboy and his wingman come in, and the laser was not working, and then he's like, Rooster's like, I'm gonna take the shot, and then he's like, no, wait, I'll get you the laser. He's like, no, I'm gonna do it, and he just shoots off instinct and gets it. I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, that was great. That was great.
But then that's when Maverick gets hit, and then he goes down.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're able to avoid a couple of the missiles with their flares or whatever and stuff like that, and then
a lot of dodging going on. Yeah,
a lot of dodge. It honestly reminded me of a TIE fighter X-wing fight in Star Wars Up in the Sky.
100%. Yeah,
honestly, it honestly, like when they did that wide shot of all of their jets just like dodging all these missiles and stuff, it really just reminded me of like Star Wars X-wing. And then like you said, Maverick finally gets hit, and they're saying no, come back to base, don't do anything, and then oh my gosh, then you see Mavericks down there and this chopper's coming at him.
Well, that was before, because what they did really brilliantly is Miles Teller's taking off, and he said don't go back for it. He was being instructed not to go back, just come home or come back to base. That's it. Don't go back. And the one it was the African American gentleman, I think, that was like, really, sir? And he was like, we're not going to lose anybody else today. John Hamm's character was like, we're not going to lose anybody else today. And then it fades to black.
And then how could you forget the two jets that were on their way to go take out those two enemy jets. Yeah
that's right. So it faded to black though, and you almost think like, oh, that's it, he's dead. And then
I knew he still
reopens. I don't know, man, I wasn't sure, I'll be honest with you, but it reopens and he's on the ground, and
then this enemy choppers coming at him. He's about to start shooting at him, and then
that was intense.
He's like one-on-one, face-to-face with this chopper, and then Rooster just comes and just blows it up. And then he ejects too because his thing's about to get hit by Sam. And then Maverick's running towards him, and oh my gosh, this scene was funnier than hell.
The argument in the forest.
He starts running up to Rooster, and it looks like he's about to hug him, and then he just pushes him over, bro. That shit was so funny.
Yeah, that's right.
That was funnier than hell.
I love he's like, what were you thinking? He said, you said don't think. That was
that was funny too. The whole scene was just the whole argument was funny, bro.
Yeah.
The whole thing was so funny.
It was so naturally funny too. That's one of the things about the comedy I loved. It did stick in the spirit of the original Top Gun, where it all just played very organically and just had a lot of that wit that was in that first one, and so that played into that, and it was so organic. It was a intense argument, but the humor coming out of it just was natural. It felt real, which I loved. And then so he's like, well, what's the plan now? So they go walking, and then there's the F-14s, which again I told you,
they're just scoping in with the binoculars, looking at the base, and then they're looking at the F-14s like, you're joking, right? He's like, no.
Yeah. Well, what else are you going to do in that moment? Like,
honestly, there's nothing else you can do. All you can do is just steal one of the enemy jets.
That was their only shot. Yeah.
Fuck off. Yeah.
The movie did a good job setting that up, by the way, that was honestly their only chance of getting out.
100%. Yeah. And then they start, running towards the jet, and they're, getting it prepped and everything, and it's turning on men. And when the jet starts, moving out of the hangar, and you just see the whole jet, and it's, oh, dude, that jet was the F-14 was really beautiful.
Oh, honestly. The sound too. Well, the sound throughout this movie is incredible.
That's what I mean. You have to watch this in IMAX because
you have
the
to
sound,
see this in IMAX
because the sound just makes, like, the sounds of the jets just make the movie too. Like it's like
so true. It's a big part of it.
It's like you're there actually flying the jet. You know what I mean? Like it's so sick.
And then
obviously they stop because they can't take off because the what's it called is fucked up. And then Maverick has that plan of opening the wings and just taking off, and you think the jet's about to like hit something, and then the wheels just break off. I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have those enemy planes. Oh, and then when he asks him to get communication with the base, and then he's like, "Well, teach me how to do this." Like, "Well, I don't know how to do it. That was Goose's department." I was like, "Oh man, oh, I just oh."
Well, they end up in the middle of this dogfight now, though. In this,
well, yeah, because they have these enemy jets coming at him.
Yeah, I think Mavericks is like, it's going to be a dogfight, you know. So they're going, and
I guess I forgot to mention too. The other cool thing that I liked was when, well, how Maverick got taken down was that he sacrificed his jet to save Rooster, which I
really
that's true. I really liked that. That was actually really nice. And then obviously, he saved Maverick.
Well, so that's what we lead to here. Yeah, exactly. They're in the middle of this dogfight, and then I think they run out of missiles at this point, right? Because
they're able to destroy these two jets by shooting them.
But there's an extra one,
obviously. But then another one. Once they destroy those two, another one comes. They're out of flares.
They're out of flares, right? Yeah.
They're out of flares, missiles, and bullets at this point.
Yeah.
When this third one comes in, they can't outrun it, and so Maverick's idea is to just fly straight up and have Rooster just eject.
That was crazy, man.
Bro, and
it was like, it's not working. It's not working. I was like, oh my god.
And then Tom Cruise is like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, dude. That scene got me hella emotional.
When he was like, I'm so sorry, Goose. Yeah.
When it was, oh, dude. Oh. And then you think that they're about to die, and then all of a sudden, who comes in?
It was Glenn Powell's Hangman, yeah, and
Hangman comes in and saves them too. Because there was a scene where Hangman's like, "Can I go and help them or whatever?" And then he was like, "No, you can't. Stay where you are."
Right.
At that point, I knew that Hangman was gonna in some way come and save them. At that point, because you could see his facial expression. He's like, fuck, I really want to go help them, but they're telling me not to. And then when I saw that jet blow up, I was like, yep, that's gonna be Hangman.
I didn't know. I honestly at first I didn't know. I was wondering.
I called it, man. It was I loved that, man. That was some great stuff.
It was good once it revealed it was Hangman.
Because he blew up that jet. Literally as soon as the missile left the enemy jet, he just blew it up.
Yeah,
which was great.
Well, what I love about it is throughout this entire story, Maverick is constantly questioning his own decisions a lot of the time when it comes to instructing this class. And when it came down to it, at the end of the day, it was like, oh, okay, 5 of you will be picked, and then the rest of you will wait for reservation type jobs, and so it shows that the way that he chose his crew was perfect. Like he chose right, and I like that reaffirmation for the character of Maverick in that moment when he comes through.
And you wouldn't think at first that the decisions that he made were the best, because I mean, one of them passed out when he was going too high, and he had to be saved with which we didn't mention. When Tom Cruise, when Maverick locked on his jet and woke him up.
Yeah.
And then Phoenix and Bob too, who had to eject and ended up in the hospital somehow. You wouldn't think from that based on that,
because they set that up too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that those 4 would be chosen, but in the end, he's like, "No, I believe in you guys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you guys this chance to really prove me right."
You're right.
And man, did it pay off.
Yeah.
Man, did it really just pay off.
We got to talk about one other scene, though, really quick. That was really crazy in this movie. That happened way early on.
It was another scene that I want to mention, too, was the beach scene. I really enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, that was good. The football scene.
I really did enjoy that whole team building thing. I thought
it was nice.
It was a very wholesome.
Nice little callback scene there from the volleyball. Yeah, in the first movie.
Yeah, exactly.
We forgot to talk about the inverted planes between Miles Teller and Tom Cruise early on, when they went inverted and then they were spiraling down.
Oh yeah. So
that was crazy good.
When Maverick was upside down on top of Rooster,
that was an intense moment
to the first Top Gun as well, because that happened. And then they just turned around and just started spiraling each other. He's like, "Well, you got this, and you got us into the situation. What are you gonna do?"
Yeah,
that whole spiraling scene was
that was the way that they shot into the cockpits in those moments was like, oh, that was so hero versus villain.
Exactly. Yeah.
That sort of thing. It was so intense the way they went about that, and the acting in that moment was portrayed so well that it just made it all the more intense. But back to Glenn Powell coming in to save him, right? And the score in this movie was unreal.
Bro, the soundtrack, this entire soundtrack was great.
Songs and score, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you were talking 100%. About the football scene. I did enjoy that One Republic song a lot.
The one, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and and the score throughout this movie is so good. It's got a nice blend of the original score, but it's kind of rebooted in a way. It feels much more emotionally driven this time around, and it's really nice, man. It's a really nice score, and then they go down on this rough landing. And
yeah, with the barrier. Oh, I was gonna mention that, like, when they were going to go land it, and they like drive by the where I forget his name, the not the leader, I guess, not the leader, but like the guy who put Tom Cruise in as team leader. I forget his name.
John Hamm's character. No.
Yeah, him and the African American ones.
Oh yeah. When they're
flying, like when they're flying across and do that loud, like from the first Top Gun.
Yeah,
that was great. I really laughed at that part too, because it just reminded me of the first Top Gun.
Yeah.
And then they land out because they tell them, hey, our wheels are gone. We don't have a way to land this safely, and so they put up the barrier and then they landed.
That's right. Like, though you're right. That was actually really good. Yeah. I like that little touch that they added there. Yeah. And then they get out, and it's a lot like the first Top Gun, the celebration.
I was gonna say, like, well, obviously, Maverick and Rooster shake, and then Rooster and Hangman.
Well, yeah, Rooster and Hangman was so Maverick and Iceman.
See that? I was literally about to say that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that it just reminded me of when Maverick and Iceman shaked hands after, I really like that.
Yeah, I felt it in the moment.
I felt 100, same.
Yeah, they did a good job at like doing nostalgia, but also still making you feel the emotions, because the story overall did play differently than the original, and so still, even though it's a callback, you felt the emotions of it. But then at the end, when Tom Cruise and Miles Teller had that long hug, it's wonderful. It really is. And when Tom Cruise said thank you for saving me, and he says it's what my dad would have done. Oh man, that hit me.
Oh dude, honestly, that whole scene just really hit me, man. It was great stuff, man. Rooster finally was just like, you know what, let's let the past be the past, and I'm gonna just see you as a father figure, and I'm gonna appreciate that, because it's what my father would have wanted. It was great, man. I really just loved that.
The Tom Cruise Miles Teller energy in this movie is real. They have awesome chemistry.
They have amazing chemistry. Honestly,
unreal, actually.
If they're in the third one together, I can't wait to see more.
If there's a third one, I hope there is.
If there's a third one, and if they're both in it, I can't wait to see more of them too, because man, their chemistry was just amazing.
If it makes money, you can bet your bippy there will be a third one. I mean, really,
it'll
happen. But yeah, man, it's wow. That stuff was actually much more hard hitting than I ever thought it was going to be. And then I love that we lead into
and then this ending part was
where he's meeting Jennifer Connelly at the end.
Well, yeah, he was fixing his jet like was in the beginning.
With Rooster this time around, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rooster comes in and Tom Cruise is like, hey. Tom Cruise is like, hey, do this and do this, and he's doing it, and then he hears someone walk in, and then he looks and he sees that it's Penny's daughter.
Right.
And then he's like, all right, well, if you're here, that means that Penny's here. And then he looks and he sees Penny in front of her car. He walks up and they have this little moment together where they, they're making all stuff, and then it pans, and then it goes to
Miles Teller, Rooster, where he sees the picture of the shake between him and Maverick, and
then it pans next to it where Maverick and Rooster are shaking, which I really like that they put those two side to side.
Yeah, I love the little tap he gave it. You know what I mean? He was just like,
he tapped his.
It was a nice little nuanced moment.
He tapped his father on the picture. Yeah, I really
so nuanced and so great in the performance.
Yeah. And obviously we end with a Lady Gaga song, which I really enjoyed too.
Yeah, it was a good tune, and the credits rolled pretty similarly to the way they did in the original, where they would show the cast and who they played.
There was no end credit scene, was there?
No. So that there was that, but yeah. So then they so they ended it on that, and it was nice. My audience was clapping at the end because they
same. Mine too. Yeah, obviously mine. I mean, bro, in my theater, there was at least 10 or 15, maybe even 20 people wearing Top Gun shirts at the showing.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I was standing in line next to two elderly women that probably haven't been to the theater since 1986 because they couldn't believe what a bucket of popcorn looked like now. So they thought a large bucket was like the size of a small. And so that was funny to look at.
Yeah, I couldn't
talk about that.
Honestly, I couldn't wait in line because when I got there, the line to get anything was so long that I just went straight into the theater because I was going to mention something that I did get to see. I don't know if I'll say it because it's a spoiler review. The cool thing that I got to see in my showing, I guess you missed it because obviously you got
I got in late
movie,
because I stood in line.
I got to see the global premiere of Top Gun Maverick over the like. There's one from France, one from England, a couple in the U.S. and Mexico and all these other countries, and that was really cool to see. People's reactions to the premieres of their premieres of Top Gun Maverick. There was the one in England,
that would have been cool.
The prince and princess were there watching the premiere, obviously, because they get invited to every single fucking big premiere of every big movie ever in the world because they're the fucking prince and princess. I mean, shit. But that was really cool. I really enjoyed watching that. That was a really cool, nice touch there before watching the movie.
Yeah, I gotta say that they did I know they did for you too, the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
That was a disappointment.
If your trailer is underwhelming in the IMAX, there's something wrong with your marketing. I'm not saying.
I honestly, I saw like it was like, all right, now about to show you the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 trailer. I thought it was going to be something different to what you had initially reacted to. That's why I was so excited, because I'd seen your reaction and I had seen the trailer that you reacted to, and I was like, all right, well, maybe it'll be something different, which is why I was so excited for it. But then I find out that it's the same trailer you had already reacted to, and I was like, well, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, it's so. I thought in the IMAX it would have played better. I was like, all right, I'll check this out in the IMAX, and it'll probably play a lot better.
Bro, it played the same.
So underwhelming, man.
Played the same.
Except for, again, the stun at the end is one of his craziest for sure with the bike. But on the same hand, the rest of the trailer is so underwhelming. It's just hard to get into. But I'm still confident that movie's going to be great because they've just done such a good job making these movies better and better ever since Mission Impossible 3.
I mean, they've made fucking 6 of them. Of course, they're just going to keep getting better. Probably.
I'm still confident the movie's going to be good. I just wish they had a better trailer for it to get me a little more into it and hyped. But that was my kind of take on it. But dude, Top Gun Maverick is amazing. It's every bit of amazing that you want it to
like
be. Way better than you think it'd be, actually.
Is so much above must go. Like, this is like you have to get out there and go. Honestly, go right now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, second favorite movie of the year, I would say, but behind the Batman. So that's where I'm standing right now on it. So
that's a tough one. Yeah, I'd probably agree. Yeah, Well, I mean, they're probably right there for me. Those two are like right there.
They're both so good. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And you're not wrong about that. It's a toss.
They're just they're just two different movies. Yeah. So like to really kind of just put one above the other. Yeah, I'd put those like literally at one together.
Yeah, it's a real toss up. But this is like, I think for the mainstream audiences, this is definitely above a must go. This is the movie to go see this year for sure. This is an experience.
Buy your ticket. You haven't gone yet. Buy your ticket right now and go watch it.
100%, man.
The next day.
Honestly. All right, guys. So spoiler review's out now. I mean, the question's going to be for you. What did you think of Top Gun Maverick? Please let us know in the comment section below. It really helps us out. It lets us know that we are talking to somebody out there, and that's really nice. It really is fulfilling for us when we get to read your comments and let us know what you thought of the film. Before we get going here, Jose, if you want to give a closing statement on Top Gun and where can people find you?
Just Top Gun Maverick again. I mean, we've said it all already, but it's an amazing movie, very well directed. The cinematography and the soundtrack and the score, everything about this movie, the actors, the performances, just really made this movie one of the best, if not the best, of this year. And Tom Cruise, again, you killed it, man. I mean, you just made another amazing movie. Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, don't let anyone tell you what to do. I mean, you obviously you're in your own lane. You're doing what you want to do, and you're killing it. So just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And everyone, just please go watch this movie. Like, this is a must go.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, the only thing I would really add is that this movie really has something for everybody because it's got drama, comedy, action, and all of it is firing on all cylinders in this movie. It's all executed 100%. So well. To Jose's point, this is a very, very well directed movie. It's very well acted. Everything is just executed to a T. This is the movie to go see this year. This is going to be movie of the year for a lot of people. So yeah,
I'm gonna give props to everyone who's involved in this movie. The people who did the sets, if they needed that. I mean, the editing people, the VFX, all those, everyone that was involved in this movie. Props to you guys, because I know that there's like thousands of people that it takes thousands of people to make these kind of movies, and to give props to all you guys, because without you guys, this movie would not have been the movie that it was. So
couldn't have said it better, folks. Couldn't have said it better. All right, Jose, where can people find you?
You can find me on all socials at Type One Latino, all lowercase, all together, and on stereo.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Dom_Martino_ and on Instagram, Dom_Martino_ official. Make sure you follow the Anorex pages on Twitter, Anorex official, and Instagram as well, Anorex official. So make sure you follow both of those. Go see Top Gun Maverick. I don't know why you're here if you haven't seen it already, but hey, maybe you just wanted to dip your feet in the water a little bit more first just to make sure it was as good as the hype. And hopefully we've talked you into seeing it finally. So make sure you do go check that out before, I don't know, I can't say before you watch it because you're here. But yeah, anyway, guys, we're getting out of here. I've been Don Martino. That's been Jose Espinel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll talk to you guys later.